What's up guys, AD back with another Nikke video, and in today's video everyone, we are going to be diving into the Tactics Academy, and I'll be telling you all about this area of the Outpost, and I'll be stressing why it is so important to work on this building. So without any further ado, let's head on into the Tactics Academy here and discover why it is so important to work on this area of the Outpost. Now at first glance, it does seem pretty confusing, but of course it is pretty self-explanatory. Now the Academy here does offer lessons that you'll be able to quote-unquote study to obtain buffs here in the Outpost to many areas of this beautiful underground city. Now the lessons here will require you to have certain Nikkes as well as complete certain requirements. Now as you can see here, for example, I do have class A in which I did complete here on screen, but of course I'll show you an example here of completing a lesson as well. Now as you can see, the lessons here did require us to have certain rare Nikkes in our inventory, so this area does depend on you having certain Nikkes to complete lessons, and moving forward it'll require you to have certain SRs to complete later lessons. But for the earlier classes here, as you can see, it does require us to have the rare units, so definitely not bad of a system here, as it only requires you to have certain rare and SR Nikkes, in which you do obtain from pretty much every single multi-summon, so it's definitely not hard to upgrade the Academy here. Now let me show you guys an example of working on a lesson here in the Academy. As you can see, we do have Class C 3-1 Outpost lesson, which does require me to study 2-3 Outpost defense lesson, in which we already did in Class B, and now we do have to construct the generator. So let's head on back into the area of the Outpost here, and we'll be able to construct the generator as we do need it to complete the lesson. So we'll head on into a constructible area here that we do have available, and we'll be able to construct the generator. So here we are with the generator, and it'll be done in no time, just a few seconds to construct the building, and there we do have the construction complete here for the generator. And now we can head on back into the Tactics Academy, in which we can complete our lesson for constructing the generator. So there we are with 3-1, and now we can study this, in which it'll unlock 3 additional building slots. So very nice here for Class C, and then we'll be able to move on to Class C 3-2 and so on. Now let me tell you all why it is very important to work on the Tactics Academy here in Nikke. As you can see towards the top, we have the class certifications, in which it'll list all of the buffs that you can obtain here in the Academy. Now the buffs here are definitely very massive for the Outpost. As you can see here, we do have the Outpost defense, which will list every single lesson here towards the left hand side, as well as the buff towards the right hand side. So as you can see, 1-2 does increase credits acquirements by 10%, and as you continue to complete lessons, you'll be able to obtain additional buffs to your Outpost defense, such as combat portrait acquirements increased by a certain percentage, credits acquirements, core dust acquirements, and of course continued increases of this amount as you do manage to study additional Outpost defense lessons. Now this is only the first part of these certifications here, as of course we do have the dispatch area, in which you can increase the range modification as well as the max limit of dispatch missions that you can send out, as well as the rarity of dispatch missions, which will reward you with even greater rewards. Moving on here, we have the synchro device, which unlocks additional slots for your Nikkes. So this is definitely a very important buff here from the Tactics Academy, as the synchro device does save you from investing into a ton of Nikke. So it's definitely a very important area here of the Outpost, and I'll make sure to dive into the synchro device further in a separate video. Now moving on here to the general area of the Outpost, in which you'll unlock additional building slots. And for the final sets of lessons here, we have the intercept certifications, in which you'll receive extra rewards when performing certain intercept levels. So that is why the Tactics Academy is very important, and hopefully you guys did learn something here in today's Nikke Goddess of Victory guide, as of course I would stress to you all to definitely work on as many lessons as possible. If you do have the requirements, definitely head on into the Tactics Academy and complete the lesson, as of course they're fairly cheap, so why not receive an additional buff here to your Outpost while you're collecting Nikkes and ultimately making the grind easier on yourself. But that'll pretty much do it for today's Goddess of Victory Victory Nikke guide here on the channel, everyone, for the Tactics Academy. Now, before you go, make sure to leave a comment down below if you found today's guide helpful, as well as be sure to share which lesson you're currently on here in the Academy. Also, make sure to subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so already, and of course, leave a like on this video if you did find it helpful. Also, be sure to check out channel memberships down below if you're interested in further supporting the channel, as well as the links to my other social media down there as well. But with all of that being said, I'll catch you all in the next Goddess of Victory Nikke video. As always, thank you all so much for watching.